I'm just another face within a swarm of other students who happen to be in the confines of the traditional school system, who are going to have to endlessly listen to lectures and having to maintain the pressure of remembering useless information that will never ever provide any real life benefits in the real world. And also with the inflexible, rigid hours that keeps us in school, that brings us at home tired mentally and physically. And so I get pissed. And I got pissed for one reason. And it's not because school was a very bad place. I like school, as a matter of fact. There's friends there, I can talk to people. But the reason why I got so pissed every single time is because I had absolutely no control about anything at all. You see, this thing kept happening again and again and again. Not only was I pissed once, but it was as if the same thing happened again and again and again. And I got angry to a point where I reached what's called the tipping point. This tipping point changed everything, right? You've heard about these type of stories before where the person gets super angry that he starts taking everything within his own hands and he starts being accountable. That's why people say transform your emotions into productive actions. You can transform using emotions, and that's what basically happened to me. Because I got absolutely angry because I had absolutely no control over what information I can intake, what time I could wake up. I'm absolutely controlled every single where. Everywhere I go, I'm controlled. As a matter of fact, that was absolutely frightening as a thought, because if you're controlled, that means you have no freedom. And if you have no freedom, that means you're basically in a prison cell, because that's where you have absolutely no control. You know, this seems like a huge speculation, but it does make sense, right? Information teaches you information that is practically useless. And if you have only useless information, and if that's what is put inside your mind the entire time, you won't have any time to think outside the box, right? And that's what school does. I'm not trying to match school with a prison cell, but you can see the commonality, right? School makes people dumb instead of creative. You're meant to store information that a school tells you and to put it in this test, and then never again will you ever use it ever in your life. So when I reached this tipping point and I realized I got angry, this was like last year, I started to take things in my own hands. Accountability was, of course, the main thing. So these 7 habits worked for me and like changed and pivoted my whole worldview through these 7 habits as a school rebel. So the first habit was self-education. So as self-education was absolutely important, reading, it was my ticket to liberation. As you know, knowledge is power, then that makes ignorance powerless. So I needed power, I needed knowledge. And for example, let's take an example of a trainer. For example, you want to be physically fit and you go up to a trainer, but this trainer just does it for the money. He doesn't have actual knowledge that can help you. Let's say he just says random stuff and he helps you out. You know, he tells you to, you know, go eat anything you want and train however you want, but he gives like a little bit of guidelines, right? This is very unhelpful. And what that does is that you're operating on the basis of low quality information. And when you act by it, you get low quality outputs, low quality results. And that's the same thing with school. If you're taking in useless information, you're going to react and bring upon low quality results. That's why self-education was my ticket to liberation. My first book that I've ever read, which was a psychology habit building book, which is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. You know, I've learned lots about habits building, and this was absolutely gold to learning how to create better, strong habits. You know, the one thing that I've learned from that book that you can take away today is that the law of least resistance applies to every single human. We do things that is naturally easy for us. For example, if the phone is naturally and conveniently placed right beside your bed, you're going to scroll on your phone because it's easy. And likewise, if you think about it that way, keep your phone somewhere else, and if you want to make a good habit easy for you, keep the book right in your desk, on your desk, opened up to the right page. Keep that phone or that TV. If you can't move the TV in your room, the TV remote can be placed in another room hidden, and you can place the batteries also somewhere else, which makes it double hard. You make the bad things harder, you make the good things easier. And when I progressed through reading more and more and more, I realized knowledge is power. You leverage the information in books and you use it in terms of helping yourself with it. And that's why self-education is absolutely important. And my best books are psychology books, especially on the field of behavior change. Those are the best books that hold a certain type of information that you can implement in life. For example, reading books in general, entertainment-wise, for example, those big, thick books, which you can read, of course, I find they're still useless entertainment books. I believe they're a higher form of entertainment. Instead of mindlessly scrolling on the internet, you are actually reading a book, you're engaging yourself in a material. But I believe that psychology books hold tremendous wisdom. That's why I love reading psychology. There's always something you can apply, even if it's not directly meant to implement into your own life. There's something you can always learn and improve upon yourself. So the second habit was designing my environment. You see, my room needed to be under my design. I need to control my room and how it looks, where I place in my room. For example, if my phone in the same room as I while I'm working, put it somewhere else. That's gonna tremendously help with my concentration and not tempt me into diverting my focus on things that I must not focus on. Redesigning my environment didn't only apply just in my room, because my room is my empire. This is where I work, this is where my mind inhabits in, but it also means my digital space. If you are any like me, and if you believe yourself to be self-respecting enough to value your attention, you're exactly like me. I value my attention. I know where to be with and who to be with. Usually if I'm with friends who are disempowering, I know to disregard them. And that goes same thing with the digital space. I need to find influences who will put a positive impact in my life. And in my active search, this was around January, where Andrew Tate actually popped off. And when I was searching for this type of role model, I thought about myself, who can there be? And Andrew Tate was a perfect representation of the type of man I truly wanted to become. He preached hard work, and that is someone that preaches hard work and the point of becoming your best self so that you can attain the best results to help your family. That was absolutely so closely related to my personal beliefs. I just wanted someone to say out loud. And Andrew Tate was definitely one of them. And my third habit that I always did and I was committed to is playing chess. So chess was a way to reward myself. I still do it to this very day. You know, chess was actually pivotal to my addiction to YouTube. First it was gaming, then that slowly dissipated, which means like it slowly erased itself, and then I started watching YouTube mindlessly. And then from YouTube I changed to chess, right? That self-transformation, I could have just stopped watching YouTube and just focused, but that would be too hard for me. So I decided the self-transformation to YouTube to chess. Instead of rewarding myself with YouTube, I would use chess. And I also believe chess being a metaphor for life. Chess has its own ways of communicating that every action is meant to be used for something. It's always developing towards coming to your next goal. It's a game of strategy and foresight, which I believe is extremely important. And it was the pivotal change because it was fun, and it was also something that I genuinely find entertaining. Now my fourth habit was creating a task list. I think this is extremely underrated, and if not, understated. The reason being is I refuse to be a feather in the wind. You must not be a feather in the wind. Every single day I wake up during the summer now, I write the task list, what I must do. I refuse to be a feather in the wind, so I must not let into my desires and what I want to do. Sometimes I wake up pretty groggy, and the thoughts come in of what I want to do instead of what I need to do. And that's why I change myself right away. And the course of actions that I do is written on paper, right? And at the end of every single day, at night, I make sure that I reflect on my progress and how I could work even faster than I've done today, and always improve incrementally so that I can become more efficient with my time. Fifth is to work out. So in this day and age, the traditional school system promotes the one sedentary behavior habit, which is sitting down all day long. This transfers to when we arrive home, where we sit down even more. This habit has been instilled upon us. This is why an act of rebellion is to work out, because workout is what puts fuel into my actions and puts me into a state of sharpness and readiness. That's why it's absolutely important to be working out. Now, sixth is to utilize my second brain. So if you don't know what a second brain is where you store all the information that you can in this app, and you create this storage of information where you keep everything tidy and clean. The reason why I need this is because I can't do the same thing in my mind. Yes, I could do that, but you're using up your memory, and your memory is what I learned not to use it for memorization. Of course, it has great capabilities on doing so, but it's better if I use it in other means and relieve all that mental tension instead of remembering all that information, to put it somewhere else and store it. And the best way to store it is in a computer, in this app. And Notion plays a very great part in this. You can use Notion, you can use Obsidian, you can use whatever you want. There's apps over there. I call this note-taking app, but you can call this a second brain too, because that's the function of it. And seventh, I call this lamp-like contemplation. Usually, I open the light at night, my lamp light, it brings up a vibrant color. And I just sit down and I put my thoughts down on paper for the first 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, I now contemplate, how did I work efficiently in my day? How could I improve? What are threats and problems that could arise against my ambitions? What can go against it? Now, I'm always thinking like that. And one thing for sure is that I use a table, this criteria I made for myself. I just circle the box that correlates with me at that very day. And this is what helps me to analyze my day, referring back to this criteria, this table. And these are the 7 habits of strength, the pillars of strength that I keep myself strongly upon, because I believe that this will drag me into the self I truly want to become. So make sure to subscribe, and make sure to also understand that this channel is also meant for men. Men who realize, or will soon realize, that they have potential outside the confines of the school system, and that through the power of building your own schools, it can be done through the power of self-education. And my channel hopes to be that igniter, that catalyst, and bringing the essentials of knowledge and information, wisdom, to bring about your 2.0 self. Make sure to check out my other videos in my channel, and I'll see you later.